Hey guys, and welcome back to another Warframe video. Today we're going to be looking at an OXIUM farm, so apologies for those of you who tuned in to watch the 2024 playthrough series. Unfortunately, I just didn't have enough time last week to get a video out. Way too busy, and I was also away for the weekend, so yeah, really not a lot of time to do anything, unfortunately. So, bit of a setback, but we will be carrying it on, fret not. So yeah, today we're looking at an OXIUM farm. For those of you who have been following this series, you'll know that we've recently been gathering up a ton of materials, getting ready to craft all of our weapons. And I found a neat little spot where I've been actually having really good returns on OXIUM. I know OXIUM is one of those resources that a lot of people find a bit difficult to farm up. So yeah, today I thought I'd go ahead and just show that spot. If you see my previous OXIUM farm, it actually revolves around the same room, but we're going to be sat in a different spot, and it's a different room configuration around it. So yeah, the tile sets are just a bit different, and I found it quite a bit better for returns. So yeah, let's just run through the build here, and then we'll kind of explain the difficulties with farming OXIUM a bit, and have a look at that spot that I've found. So, running Khora with Pilfering Strangledome. I do have Master Summons on my third ability. This is just so I don't have to waste time reviving my pet when you go against Corpus. I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter what mods you have on your Kavat, it's just going to go down loads. So yeah, Smeety Kavat, just for charm there. And then we've got a casting speed shard on, and I've kind of pushed all of the health onto my shards rather than having any health mods on my Khora. So yeah, all health shards here. These are just stuff I had laying around. Bear in mind that this is the 2024 playthrough account, you know, we're only MR16 on this account. We're just about at the point where we want to start ranking uploads, so do bear that in mind when you're watching this. It is by no means min-maxed. On our Khora here, it is Zero Former. We do have Arcane Energized on, which is, you know, it's not as expensive as it was, but it's still a fairly pricey thing to have on. But this is really not necessary. I've tried this build without Arcane Energized, and although you do run out of energy occasionally, you should be keeping up. The enemies should be dropping enough energy orbs for you to keep your energy pool high enough so that you can cast your Strangledomes. And then Arcane Fury here, you can see I've only got it on rank 1. Again, not necessary, I've just got it on because that's what I've got on this account. In terms of aura mod, I've got Toxin Resistance on. I don't really know why, to be honest. You could put anything you want on. I might go ahead and put Dreamer's Bond on, get a bit more energy back. Toxin Resistance is good if you are going up against Infested, but really other than that, it's not useful at all. And then, yeah, everything else revolving around our fourth ability, obviously Strangledome, and our first Whip Claw. So we've got Accumulating Whip Claw on for damage, and the Pilfering Strangledome for the increased drop chance from the Ospreys. So really important mod to have on here if you want to increase your rates. And then, yeah, duration. Range, I find it's good to sit between 120 and 140. It's kind of the preferred range there. And then if we take a look at our melee, since that's the only thing we're going to be using, the pole, this is what I'm using as my stat stick. So we are going to be running Viral. I tend to run Viral just against every enemy type anyway. It's going to increase the amount of damage we deal by like 4 times once it's at max stacks, and we are running Weeping Wounds, so that basically every time we use our first ability, we're just instantly applying 10 stacks of Viral. So it's all good. And then Blood Rush for increased combo. I do have a Riven mod on here, which is giving me crit damage and crit chance. It's also giving me combo duration. That's actually quite neat for the point I'm at in this playthrough and the build that I'm running, but it's not really a great thing to have on otherwise. You know, if you're a bit further on in the game, then maybe melee damage would be better there, but we'll take the combo duration. It's not too bad at all. And then these mods over here don't matter at all, or the arcane, sorry, don't matter at all, so yeah, we're just going to ignore those. On our focus tree, I am running Unairu. If you don't have a combo duration Riven mod, then you can go ahead and run, say, Naraman. On Naraman, you can obviously use Power Strike so that your combo counter never decays, really, and you can just keep that crit chance nice and high, and the stat chance nice and high. But I'm running Unairu because I do have a melee duration, or sorry, a combo duration stat on my Riven, which is obviously going to allow me to use stuff like Poise so I can never fall over, which is nice. And I've also got Last Gasp, not waybound right now, or unbound, sorry, which means that on the other skill trees that I use, I do not have access to it. I've done this for a very specific reason. I'm not going to go into it now, but having access to this is also quite nice. It just means that I'm never going to die, basically. So yeah, that's why we're running that. Elsewhere on the build, we have our Smeety Kavat, as we said earlier. Charm, very important. It's going to occasionally allow us to get double drops from the Osprey, so that's nice. Tech Enhance to increase the duration of Charm. And then Tech Assault is going to make it so that our Kavat just dies less frequently. It's pretty important. Fetch so that we can pick up all the stuff that gets dropped. And nothing else really matters. You know, if you want to run some energy restores, maybe if you don't have Energize, then obviously by all means do so. It will make things a bit more consistent, I guess. But yeah, that's basically all you need to know about the build. Apologies if I have skipped over anything. I'm not going off of a script or anything, so again, if I have skipped something and you want to know about it, just ask me down in the comments and I will respond as quickly as possible. Alright, so first things first, we are going to be running again on Palace Survival. I know a lot of people like to run defense missions for farming OXIUM, but I find the kind of sit back and relax play style of survival farming way nicer. And to be honest, I have struggled to get more OXIUM per minute than I do using this method. Now, I do want to point out right now that I do not have a resource booster on. I did, but it's run out, so we're just going to be getting standard rates. So whatever you see, if you've got a resource booster, obviously double it. Resource drop chance boosters do not affect this farm. So, you know, if you're just planning on farming OXIUM and you want to get a booster for it specifically, don't bother getting resource drop chance boosters. The OXIUM Ospreys already have a 100% drop chance, and you cannot improve that by putting on a resource drop chance booster. They're not going to drop more. They always just drop one set of OXIUM, unless obviously you catch them in Pilfering Strangledome, which is not affected by resource drop chance boosters. So something to bear in mind. We are also running on Steel Path. That is not for the extra resource drop chance. It is so that we get an increased enemy spawn rate whilst we're playing on solo. Now, obviously, if you wanted to do this as a squad, then you could definitely do this better in normal mode. And you could obviously run a Necros and various other things to improve your drop rates. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to be running it solo. So we're going to drop into Palace right now. I'm going to have a look around for this room and the surrounding tile set. Now, I do want to point out that it is not the easiest to find, and it is not a very common layout. So you may find that you're in and out maybe a couple times or even 3 times before you find this, which is a bit of a drawback, obviously. But once you're there, you can obviously sit there for quite a while and net yourself some serious OXIUM. So yeah, let's go ahead and track it down. Right, so one thing that I want to note just quickly before we find this location, hopefully sooner rather than later, is that OXIUM Ospreys don't actually start spawning in survival until I think about 2 minutes. I think it's 2 minutes 10 or 2 minutes 15 from my experience at least. So don't worry about, like, you know, time wasting when you're looking around at the start of a mission. You know, you can spend up to kind of 2 minutes looking for the right spot. And it can spawn, yeah, well, anywhere. The tile set can spawn anywhere. We've already made it to extraction, unfortunately, so let's backtrack, and we'll keep looking until we find it, guys. Okay, so for those of you watching my previous OXIUM farming video, this is the room you might recognise. And before we sat down here, we put our Strangledome up around here, and yeah, we just farmed from down here. What we're looking for now is the same room. But we want this room back here to be a dead end. So a very small dead end room just here. And that's where we're going to be farming from. So I'm going to reset this one because it's very unlikely that I'm going to get this room twice in the same mission. It's possible, but I'm not going to risk it just running around. So we'll restart and see if we can find it again. And here we are, guys. So our pet's dead, but we can bring him back. So here's our room at the back with the stairs out front, as we were looking for. Oh, and we got a double. Oh, not a double, but just a booster right here. So what I'm going to do, our aim is to place the dome round about here. And then we're just going to kind of sit back in here. Let's bring our Kavat back. And then we're going to sit just to the left of the door. Just kind of whip around the side. And whilst this is going on, obviously we haven't actually got to the point where we've got OXIUM Ospreys spawning. Let's go get some energy. I'll kind of explain what's happening in the way of enemy movement. So for those of you who don't know, Khora Strangledome, when an enemy gets caught in it, the enemy's allies, which are still our enemies, will start shooting them in an attempt to kill them before the Strangledome can. It's very annoying for ranged enemies, not so much for infested. It actually helps a bit for infested because they tend to just run straight towards each other. But for any units with guns, like the Corpus and the Grenadier, it is hard to find spots where the enemy's line of sight is such that they cannot immediately shoot their friends. This spot is actually very, very nice for both concealing us, reducing damage, and also presenting a spot where it's very hard for the Corpus units to see their friends caught in the Strangle Dome. And I'll kind of explain why that is. So, first of all, any enemies that come from the right-hand side, or our right-hand side, they are coming directly out of a wall, or out of a corner, a blind bend, if you will, and instantly hitting our Strangle Dome and getting caught, which is great. That means they don't have any time to think or see their friends, they just instantly get captured by the Strangle Dome. We should just be getting our first few OXIUM Ospreys right here, so that's nice. Enemies from the left, they will still be able to shoot their teammates, but only from a very specific angle. There's actually a barrier that runs along the back of this kind of staircase room. And the Corpus units cannot get a good line of sight until they basically reach the end. And furthermore, you can kill enemies very quickly from this spot, which means that actually they don't have a lot of time to shoot their friends before they die. So the enemies just kind of keep tumbling in, and it's a very, very nice and relaxing spot to farm OXIUM. You saw there we just picked up about 150 in one go. Obviously that's with the Kavat booster, but we do not have a resource booster on. If we did have a resource booster on, we would have just picked up about 300. So I'm going to go in again just to make sure there's none lying about before my resource booster runs out. So what we will do, we'll carry this on until, let's go to 10 minutes. You can see it's all dropping right there. And we'll see how much we have after 10 minutes. Ugh, even more, look at that. Let's just quickly roll in a second, and we'll see how much we get in this kind of... Oh, even more. You see it all dropping? There's so much stacked up now. We'll go once our Strangle Dome reaches about 10 seconds. And then we'll replace that and carry on. Let's get it. Oh, only 80. How about that? Oh, it's because we don't have a double booster. Would have been 160 with the booster, obviously. So, yeah, running a bit short there. But what we'll do, we'll carry on until 10 minutes. And then we will, see how much we have. We'll just go straight away after 10 minutes. And obviously, you can do the math then. Just double it up with the resource booster. And that's how much you're going to get. So, yeah, I'll see you guys once we're there. Alright, full disclosure, my Kavat did just give me another buff. I'm never this lucky with buffs. It's kind of annoying that I've got this lucky whilst I'm recording the video, because I kind of want to give a decent example of the actual drop rates. But just so you guys are aware, we do have another Kavat buff. So that will play a part in how much we're going to get here. One thing I forgot to mention as well, Acolyte spawns. So the Acolyte will actually spawn right here. I'm going to move over to the right and just spam my second ability to obviously make sure he doesn't go anywhere. And then I'll just whip him into nothingness and just carry on. And that's basically all you need to think about with him. Alright guys, we're coming up to 10 minutes here. We'll just keep thwacking for a bit longer. And then we'll head to the exit and see how much we've managed to get. There we go. I'm not going to go any further than that. We're just going to get out of here. So it's worth noting that although obviously we have gone for 10 minutes here in terms of the survival timer, like we said before, OXIUM Ospreys don't actually start spawning until kind of 2.5 minutes, so we've really only been farming OXIUM for about 7.5 minutes. And the longer you go, I'll get to the caveats in a second. Why is this telling me to go down here? I'm an idiot. So bear in mind that obviously the longer you're in a survival mission, or really any mission, the higher the spawn rate of Eximus units is. So that means that after a while, our OXIUM Ospreys are actually going to diminish in terms of spawn rates pretty quickly. That's simply because the Eximus units outpopulate them. So there's a sweet spot where you actually want to leave the mission. I've actually gone to about 40 minutes on this tile set and still achieved about 100 OXIUM per minute at least with a resource booster. So you can see here, after 10 minutes, we had ourselves 631 OXIUM. So with a resource booster, obviously that would have been about 1,260, 62 to be precise. And that was with a Kavat buff running, since the OXIUM started spawning, I reckon about 3.5 to 4 minutes worth of double resources. So yeah, between 10 minutes and 20 minutes is actually probably where your highest spawn rate for OXIUM Ospreys is. So we did miss out on like the longer term gains from doing this farm. But again, that's still a very, 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 I think, reasonable amount to be getting for a survival mission on Corpus. And what I do want to also point out as well is the kill rate. Getting over 100 kills per minute solo with Khora on a Corpus mission is actually, I've found at least, pretty hard to achieve. So yeah, this spot I was actually very happy with, and this is basically what I used to farm up all of the OXIUM that I needed for my playthrough. Okay guys, so hopefully this has been a bit of an informative video for you now that you've seen where I farm my OXIUM. I don't think I actually showed the location in my playthrough, so perhaps for those of you who have been following my playthrough who are curious, that's what I was doing to get all my OXIUM. And I would, like I said, stay in that spot for about 40 minutes each farm, usually nets at least 100 OXIUM per minute, and it's very, very relaxed and very chill. So yeah, all in all, a pretty good spot, I think. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have any locations you particularly like to farm OXIUM, and you know, I'm happy to hear people who are farming defense missions. I want to hear all about it. So yeah, do tell me down below. Happy to look through those. Otherwise, guys, if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.